Hi, I'm Claire from Claire Chancellor Coaching. Today I want to explore the topic of health when it comes to the tarot cards. Now, I want to be really upfront and clear that it's not common for a tarot reader to go into somebody's health. We are certainly not in the position to be giving health advice or, medical diagnosis or anything of the sort. But we are in the position to facilitate and give meaning to the energy that is currently being projected by that client. Clients will come to you who are projecting all of their limiting beliefs, their limiting points of view. They're going to be projecting in their energy field their heart's desire, what they want to happen in their life. And they're also going to be working with an aspect of themselves, that higher self, who knows what needs to be healed from multiple past lives or where they're going into the future. We come into these lives with a soul contract. And as I say, that soul contract might be about learning self-empowerment. And there may be some past lives or experiences where your power has been suppressed and held down. Now that's part of the design, because when we're in the spirit world, we don't have that negativity. We come to Earth to explore that polarity, what's good, what's bad, what's heavy, what's light, so on and so forth. And when we're at that soul contract table, we tend to forget what it's like to be in that 3D heavy body. So, so when we're coming back into these bodies, we may have had a past life where we were hung as a witch, let's say. And there's still that soul contract playing out about speaking your truth, sharing your wisdom about your natural spiritual gifts. And yet that human experience of being hung as a witch may still show up in your cellular memory with sore throats from not speaking your truth, or even neck pain from the injustice. We hold our head up for justice, and as my trivial little example there, being hung as a witch, that still might be playing out, that needs to be healed. And that might be why you're here again in the human body, ready to complete that kind of karma. As another example, somebody might have had a past life where they were a slave. They, again, learning about self-empowerment, they were in that slave construct, only fed bread. And so in this lifetime, where they're experiencing that liberty and that freedom, anytime they come anywhere near bread, their cellular memory says, gluten intolerance, I don't want bread, I don't want slave codes. And so they experience a health issue like that. I hope that's making sense, but it's, for me, when I'm working with somebody, I'm not going to work on their health per se, but I am going to take it one step further to explore what is the fear of not speaking up, or the fear of being a slave. Like, where is that energy being held in the body, and what can we do to release that? This is typically when I do NLP, hypnotherapy, past life regression, to help that client to raise their frequency, to tap into that soul's alignment and that purpose, to really feel into that freedom, that sense of security. And that's probably why they've come to me for a reading, is because they are feeling stuck and they want some help, some insight, a new point of view about what they can do to move forward. Again, I'm not in the position to diagnose, but again, if someone comes to me and they're saying, like, I've got knee problems, I know that that's about fear moving forward. I know that that's somewhere in the past that they've made a decision, they were probably criticized or judged for the wrong decision, and they're holding on to that judgment rather than the self-authority, the self-empowerment, the self-worth, to know what they're doing is right for them and to move forward. So the knee just holds that limitation. It's the weak link in the chain. So today I want to start from the top down and give you just a very tip of the iceberg overview of how we hold on to the limitations in our body. So starting off in the head and the mind and the brain is the control panel of our reality. If you think about somebody who's needing to be in control to be safe, the pressure that builds tends to give them headaches, migraines, so on and so forth. So typically somebody who's got a head issues, whether that's needing surgery, headaches, migraines, as I was saying, felt the energy then, thanks team, take that away. This client may have just put their hand up for too many projects, needing to get them all done, needing to get them all right, and not asking for help. So if you've got a client there with headaches, and if that's coming up in the cards, then it's like, okay, talking to them about what would happen if we brought the focus back to you, and what do you want without all of the pressure and the lack of security from the outside world. What do you want? And let's manifest and make that happen. Typically, the cards that will represent head issues is the Tower card and Temperance. So the team are just talking here about ears. Wasn't my intention to go there, but let's go with it. Somebody who's having reoccurring ear troubles tends to indicate that they are feeling powerless to the environment. They're feeling powerless about what they're hearing and what they can do to make a change. Alrighty, team, we're ready for the next one? Yes. Okay, so then as we move down to like the throat and the neck here, so as I've already said, the neck and the throat is all about holding your head up for justice, being able to communicate, and to be able to show up and express who you are. Like out of your experience of life, it is so unique. Everybody can learn from you, but anybody who's holding themselves back with the throat, sore throats, whiplash, needing the chiropractor, tends to be holding onto a level of injustice, not feeling valued, or feeling like something is unfair. This could be an issue that's happened in the past, be it childhood or a past life, and they knew that innately, they knew what was right, but the authority around them said no, and that's where the inconsistency in the energy shows up. So if I'm working with somebody with neck, throat issues, communication issues, I'm going to be exploring with them about where they're holding on to that judgment, the fear of authority, the fear of the consequences, and be able to help them step into that observer position to get a different point of view and to know that they have that freedom to speak up today. So some of the tarot cards that will indicate throat and neck issues is the High Priestess and Justice card and the Magician. Alrighty, so if we move down, I'm going to go back into the spine. The spine represents support. It's all about support. And if someone has had a tough time outside of them receiving support, they're going to carry that limitation in their spine. Maybe it's not safe to ask for help. Maybe it's easier for them to just do everything by themselves, and yet the pressure and the responsibility is just weighing them down. So the judgment of being perceived as weak is going to be a heavy energy frequency that needs to be cleared. And anybody with back issues there can have a level of stubbornness or an independent streak, because that's what has kept them safe. So there needs to be a respect in that, but then also recognizing how that's holding them back. If someone has some back issues, I'm going to look at support, where they've been caught up in other people's drama. I'm going to look at what happened to them in the past when they stood up for themselves. Did they get a backlash of conflict come at them? And so it just didn't make sense to trust support. So the tarot cards with spine is going to be the Hierophant, the Devil, Strength, Judgment. Again, anywhere where the outside drama is put upon you. Okay, moving down, we go into the chest area. Now the chest is all about coming from that heart space, that nurturing, that the what is possible, that feminine, like, wow, let's just explore what's possible. And so challenges that come up in the heart space here will be about, again, caught up in the drama of other people, needing to fix other people. If we think about like a little one growing up and mum's always sick, and so all of the responsibility falls on them. They get valued for being the giver, people pleasing, almost being an empath there. Then they're going to continue that program into adulthood, giving, nurturing, people pleasing, and they kind of get lost in that energy of, well, what about me? How do I have my own internal validation? How do I put the spotlight and the attention on me instead of making it about fixing everybody else? So this is where the energy of the heart space can feel depleted. We go in a little bit more to the lungs, and we think about somebody who's got asthma or trouble breathing. Again, this is typically someone in the past where they've grown up, or past lives where things have been so chaotic outside of them that their body and soul is resisting breathing that chaos in. It's like, you are not going to bring that outside stress into this beautiful temple, this vessel of mine. And so that's where the asthma or the trouble breathing, the grief, the self-worth is all sitting here in the lungs, is like, but what about me? Like, and it's not like what about me in a selfish way, but it's like, do I deserve to have peace in my life? Do I deserve to be able to breathe in easily and sustain my energy to move forward, to be part of my soul purpose, right? I've gone way off there, but the cards that represent the heart space, the lungs, is going to show up with the moon, the sun, the world. And again, I would be exploring with that client their sense of powerlessness and why they keep themselves in that limitation of feeling unequipped to be able to change that. That's where I would work with that one. Okay, so we're moving down. You can't see, my hands are going on my belly, but we're moving towards the stomach and the digestion. So this all represents the ability to nurture yourself. The issues that will come up with digestion, like I said at the start, possibly being a slave in a past life, and there being issues with your cellular memory holding on to, bread equals limitation, slavery. Easily, very quickly undoable. Is that a professional word? But with NLP, hypnotherapy, and so on and so forth, there can be remarkable shifts once your unconscious mind lets that go. So small stomach and digestive issues tends to be, the best way I can explain it is, if you think about being little, sitting at the dinner table and things being tense, really tense, and while mum and dad might be putting on a front, you can still energetically feel that tension. And so every mouthful that little one eats is eaten with the intention or with the stress. And so by the time it gets down to the stomach kind of restricts and says, there's a negative association here. And so we hold on to the fear of not being able to, the shame of not measuring up, the shame of not being able to fix, the not feeling enough, burdened by absorbing everybody else's stress around you, trying to make it easier for other people. There's a lot going on there with the digestion. And so, yeah, the cards that show up for stomach and digestive issues is the Hermit, the Lover's card, and the Emperor. If I was working with that particular client, I would be looking at their obligations to the family, why they've given themselves that role to take on and be that sponge for the stress. So I would be looking at clearing and transmuting all of that, and with that, bringing forward the good energy to bring in the nurturing to themselves. Okay, team, let's go down to the hips. Let's go down to the bowel area, the womb area, and let's explore that energy. So when we think about like the chakras, we think about that root chakra down at the baseline there. And that's about making our home here on earth secure, being grounded, feeling like we're safe to make earth our home. Many empaths and starseeds will have a limiting program that maybe they're not okay to be here on earth. Like when they put their hand up to say, yep, I'm coming, I'm going to share my light, they didn't realize how dense it was. And so it's like, is it really safe to commit and dip my toe into this heavy water and to be here when I really want to just go home? So that can show up in the root chakra kind of area. Hips are walking with walking with anger. Maybe something's happened to you in the past where your partner has cheated on you, or there was a level of injustice. And while you feel powerless to make a shift or to move away from that, you're going to walk quite heavily to let people know that like you were really angry, and it's going to be kind of passive aggressive, but it's still something that you can go in and clear and transmute and get rid of while you're still holding on to that resentment. People who hold on to resentment kind of hook themselves into the past to remind them like, don't be vulnerable, remember when you were carefree, all of those yuck things happened, and so the resentment hooks in as a way to protect you. And so that can show up here in the hips, in the womb, in the ovaries. That's all about feeling devalued, that it's not safe to create more of who you are. And so if I was working with the client with those kinds of limitations, I would be looking at what direction of their life do they need to move towards to feel fulfilled and uplifted, and to be safe here on earth, to make sure that they can create what they want to create, get back in touch with that soul purpose, right? The cards that will show up for this kind of health concerns is going to be the Magician, the Empress, and the Wheel of Fortune. Think about that orange energy there on the Wheel of Fortune. It's all about that sacral, the root chakra, so on and so forth. Okay, and so let's move towards the legs, the knees, the ankles. Now the legs give us mobility to move forward, and so anytime someone is feeling stuck, resistant, it tends to imply that they're hung up on the past, that the choices that they made back then have limited them in their perspective, have limited them in some sort of way. So when they go to make a choice now, they sort of do two steps back, right? To go, well, last time I made a decision, it didn't work out, and so therefore I'm not making any more decisions. But their soul feels like they're dense and heavy in concrete or tied down, ropes, chains. I've heard it all, where they just feel that dread of moving forward because of the possibility that they could be judged or ridiculed or pushed down by authority. Again, we're not little kids anymore. And so if I was coaching someone with knees, ankles, that kind of pain in that area, I'm going to explore what happened to them in the past that meant that it's not safe to move forward now. The team are talking to me as an example of that. I worked with a client who had claustrophobia. Now, we're talking about a level of anxiety, not so much knee problems, but when they had claustrophobia, going into a small space, getting into the lift to go to work, what I had to do was take them back 30 years to when they were being bullied, locked in a cupboard, and their unconscious mind had said, never ever again am I going to be in a small space. And so it's that unconscious mind that is creating the panic 30 years later in that lift. It's like, no, it wasn't safe then, it's not safe now. And so we have to go back and explore that it actually wasn't the small space that was the problem. The problem was the bullies, the lack of support, where were the grown-ups, having to do it all by yourself. That was the problem. And so when somebody gets that conscious awareness of their unconscious limiting beliefs, that shifts really quickly, and the soul can go, yep, that's it. I'm going to show up to work. I'm going to be my best, put my best foot forward, and really feel free to manifest more of the abundance, the promotions. And it's just fascinating to me how we hold ourselves back from things that have happened in the past so long ago. But it is that soul contract to learn about self-empowerment. So again, if I'm working with somebody who's got leg, knee, ankle problems, I'm going to explore what is that fear that's holding them back. What do they actually want? And if they weren't concerned about other people's judgments, what would they actually want to do? The cards that show knee, ankle, leg problems is the Hanged Man, the Chariot, and the Fool. So does the Fool really want to be here on earth? Of course he does. So let's take that leap of faith and trust and jump all in. So again, we are not in the position to diagnose health concerns or to give health advice. We are in the position to give meaning to the energy that is being projected by the client, and to give them a new point of view about a new path that will lead them towards their soul alignment to live a life with passion and purpose. That's it for me when it comes to health with the tarot. You will hear me describe all of the cards, and go into each and every one of the health concerns that are in that, and then it's just up to you what you do with that information. I'm Claire from Claire Chancellor Coaching. I look forward to talking to you soon.